Hello everyone, I am Krunal Panchal, working as an assistant professor in Computer Engineering Department at LG Institute of Engineering and Technology. Welcome all to the video lecture series of operating system with respect to the syllabus of Gujarat Technological University. In this session, we are going to discuss unit number 2, process management, the remaining content of process management. In the earlier session we have discussed what is process, the introductory session about process, difference between process and program. Okay, all these things we have discussed in the last session. What is process control block we have discussed. Okay, now in this session we are going to discuss process state diagram. Very important topic as far as examination, or we can say any competitive examination is concerned, university examination is concerned. Process state diagram, or we can say process life cycle. So what is process state diagram? So let us discuss the process state diagram in detail. So a state diagram, a process state diagram is composed of a set of states and transitions between states. Set of states and transition between states means, set of state means what? These are the various states of process state diagram. First is new state, second is ready, then running state, termination state, wait, or we can say block state, suspended wait state, suspended ready states. These are the different states which represents in the form of circle. Okay, and the transition between states means what? It represents with arrow, directed arrows, not arrows, directed arrows. Okay, this is nothing but transition from one state to another state. Okay, so a state diagram consisting of various states with the transition between states. Okay, a state diagram is used by a process manager to determine the type of service to provide to the process. Okay, so out of these processes, the primary out of these process states, the primary process states are new, ready, running, terminated, and waiting, or we can say block state. These 5 states, 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 states are primary states, and these 2 are suspended wait and suspended ready are additional state. Okay, so let us discuss in detail regarding process state diagram. So kernel of operating system is do not have any idea regarding various states of processes. These state models and this state diagram is specifically designed to understand the user purpose only. The kernel cannot differentiate these various states. Okay, so this process state diagram is for user understanding purpose only. Okay, so what is a new state first? So as I told you that in the last session, the difference between process and program, as I told you, so program is what? Program is set of instructions, and that set of instructions, once we fetched from secondary memory to main memory, and once it resides in main memory, that set of instructions, or okay, say program, would be considered as process. Okay, so process is nothing but a program in execution that we have seen in the last session. Okay, so what is new state? So whenever we are talking about new state means what? Right now my program, I'm talking about program, I'm not talking about process right now, because whenever you are in new state means what, your program is located in secondary memory, or you can say hard disk. So right now your program is not loaded into main memory, so that's why I cannot use the word process over here. Okay, so right now my program is located into secondary memory, and once it uh, reaches from new state to ready state, okay, and once it entered into a ready state, because ready state is located into a main memory, new state is located into a secondary memory. Okay, so once that program is loaded into a main memory, then that program would considered as process. But right now we are at, you know, a new state, so definitely uh, this process, we cannot call these as a process. Okay, it is nothing but a program which is located into a hard disk, or you can say secondary memory. Okay, now what will happen now, you know very well the size of hard disk is very large nowadays. We know we have, you know, 1 TB hard disk. Okay, and the size of main memory is very limited, you know. We have 4 GB of RAM, 8 GB of RAM, maximum 16 GB of RAM we have nowadays. Okay, and 1 TB hard disk we have. So there is vast difference between secondary memory and main memory in terms of size. Okay, so that's why, that is the reason why we need to have additional states over here, because of size issue, because of main memory size issue. Okay, so that we will see in upcoming minutes. Okay, so right now I'm at new states. Now that program is about, the process is about to create, we can say. It is not created yet, it is not created yet. Okay, so once suppose if I have, you know, 10 programs in my, sorry, 10 programs in my secondary memory, and that 10 programs I need to execute on the CPU. Okay, or we can say secondary memory, or we can say on by using any IO devices, if I want to execute that program. Okay, so first, from who will take responsibility to fetch that program from new state to put it into a ready state? So there is one scheduler called long-term scheduler will take responsibility to fetch that program from secondary memory and put it into a main memory. So we will take these we will take these duty long-term scheduler. Okay, these things you need to keep in your mind. Between these two states, who will schedule the process? Long-term scheduler. Okay, now once these programs are loaded into a main memory, because ready state is located into where, main memory, ready state, or we can say ready queue. There is queue, there is one queue is maintained. This ready state is also known as, you know, ready queue, we can say, because it is located into a main memory. Okay, so these programs are loaded into now main memory, and now this program would becomes process. Okay, now this process needs to be executed. As I have told you in the last session, process requires resources for execution. So definitely this set of processes which are ready for execution, okay, that processes require resources. Okay, so but these 10 processes, for example, suppose ReadyQ contain 10 processes, these 10 processes cannot simultaneously executed by a single processor, we can say, because in general in operating system we are talking about uniprocessor systems, or uniprocessor machines we have in general, in which only one CPU is there. So if we have only one CPU, you can execute only one process at a time, not more than that. So I have 10 processes, and that 10 processes are ready for execution, but out of 10 only one process can execute at a time. Okay, so only one process can schedule from ready state to running state. So that responsibility will be taken by short term scheduler. These things to keep in mind is very important. So this process will be scheduled, or we can say dispatch, okay, by the short term scheduler, and put it into a running state. In running state we have CPU, and through CPU we can execute that process, because CPU is one type of resource, and through the resources process can be executed. Okay, so out of 10 any one process is scheduled and give it to the running state. Now this process will be executed over here by the CPU with the help of CPU, and this scheduling decision will be taken by short-term scheduler. This scheduling will be taken from will be taken by the long-term scheduler, which from new state to ready state. Okay, now when this process is executing, and once it is executed successfully, then this process will be go into the termination state, terminated state. Once it is terminated means what? Once that process execution is completed, whatever the reserved resources of that process will be released. Okay, so that other process can execute uh, that task with the help of that resource. Okay, so if somebody asks you how many minimum number of resources are required for process execution, in that case your answer should be 4 states are required. Which 4 states? First new state, second one is ready state, third one is running state, and fourth one is termination state. If program requires only CPU resource for execution, so definitely once it is executed that can be terminated. Okay, but in general when we are talking about multi-programming operating system or multitasking operating system, in that case more than one process are more than one process are going to execute simultaneously, but this is an illusion, because as I told you we have uniprocessor machine. Even though we have 10 processes which are ready for execution, still we cannot able to execute that process because of a single resource, a single CPU. Clear? Okay, so that things you need to keep in your mind. It is very important. If you want to execute multiple processes simultaneously, you should have multiple resources with you, then and then you can execute it. Okay, so now uh, now talking about this direction, what it means actually. Okay, so when we are talking about a single process execution, that is nothing but that is nothing but we can say non-preemptive process, in which process is ready for execution. Once it is send it to the CPU will execute its task, it will be completely executed at CPU, and then it will be finished. Okay, during execution that process will not go into any other state. So that type of execution is called, we can say, single tasking, or we can say non-preemptive process execution. Okay, but in real practice there are multi-programming operating systems we have nowadays. We have multitasking operating system in which more than one programs are more than one programs are waiting for CPU for execution. So that's why we have mentioned this arrow over here. What is the significance of this arrow? It is very important. When we are talking about multi-programming operating system, and nowadays you are doing multiple tasks simultaneously with the help of your machine. So how it is possible actually? CPU, as I told you, CPU can only execute one task at a time, but definitely CPU can execute one task at a time, but it will be executed in a a particular fashion, so that you have illusion in your mind, multiple, suppose if you are, doing some, documentation with the help of, word program, and simultaneously you are, listening music with the help of, VLC media player. So these two process are running simultaneously. So you think about, that by having single processor, multiple processes are going on, but it is not it is not going on simultaneously. Yes. Because you have you how you can how you can think about it, why you cannot see the difference. These two programs are not executing concurrently because of speed of CPU. CPU executes million instruction per unit time. In a single second, okay, it executes millions of instructions. Okay, so that's why the user cannot able to know, or we can say CPU works in a microsecond, we can say. So that's why user cannot able to identify the multiple processes are actually executing concurrently, or they are executing, in a particular fashion. Okay, so let us now come back to this arrow priority, or we can say time quantum. Means what? There are two types of, processes we have. We can say a normal user processes, and second is system oriented or system processes, we can say. And in general, system processes are having higher priority than user processes. Why? For example, which type of, processes you can consider as, system processes? Like suppose, for example, suppose system temperature maintaining, a process, it is nothing but, a high priority process. Okay, second, if your display maintaining, a processes like resolution, your, contrast, and all these things, maintaining process is called system processes. Definitely it contains, higher priority as compared to user processes. Because one more example, like as I told you, heat control processes. Okay, that is nothing but, system processes. Because if these processes do not have higher priority, definitely you won't work with your systems. Why? Because if these processes are not executing priorly, as compared to user processes, user cannot, able to do that task. Okay, so this is all about, so whenever such type of process, suppose any high priority process comes, like say for example system, suppose one normal process is executing, and any high priority process is coming. Okay, just like system processes. Okay, so that needs to be scheduled first for execution. So in that case, the ongoing process, user process, will be interrupted, and it will be send it to the ready queue. Okay, for a while. So that is nothing but, based on, priority, we can say that this ongoing user process is interrupted and send it to the ready queue for a while. Same way, if there are, say for example, time slices are there. Means what? If 10 processes are needs to be executed concurrently, so definitely CPU cannot execute 10 processes simultaneously. So how CPU will execute that processes? It will execute that processes based on the time quantums. Means what? Suppose one process is arrived over here. Okay, that will be executed for fixed period of time. Like say for example 2 seconds, or we say 3 seconds. For 3 seconds, one process would be executed, and then once time expires, it will shift it to the ready queue once again. Then second process come, again it will be executed for 3 seconds, again then it will be shifted. Once time is expired, again it will be shifted to ready queue. In this way it will be executed. So this is very important stuff, and these will be handled by what? Short term scheduler. Okay, then what will happen? As I told you, in process life cycle, the user requires, some input output operation as well. In its, general operation, it requires, IO devices as well. So In that case, what will happen?